Greetings to everybody who is listening to my video. I am going to be the course instructor for the subject of food law. Food law is a very modern and a very contemporary area of law and has recently gained a lot of importance and relevance owing to the present conditions in the overall wide world, which is the COVID situation. The presence of COVID and the pandemic has brought a lot of significance in terms of studying the area of food law because people have now become alert and conscious with respect to their health, their sanitation, and their clean and safe environment. Everybody now is aware and is conscious about what they are eating, where they are going, how they are eating, and whether they are complying with the rules and regulations of WHO in terms of safe consumption of food. Now, when we talk about safe consumption of food, we get the concept of food safety. So, in food law, we have three very important concepts to be discussed and talked about. First is your food safety, second is food hazards, and third is food spoilage. So, since our childhood, we have been taught and our parents have tried to inculcate habits like cleaning our hands before eating, washing it properly, washing and making sure that the food that we are eating is safe and fit for our consumption. These things have been taught to us and we have been trying to inculcate it since our childhood. But often we forget that these are little things that we keep ignoring in our day-to-day lives, and that can often result into a food hazard. So, food hazards are an important topic which we will be discussing it later in the video, but first we will understand the concept of food security. So, food security is nothing but consuming safe food. Now, I will give a better definition of food security or a better description of food security, but firstly, safe food is what we all want for our fit survival, for our healthy bodies and healthy mind. Safe food is nothing but consumption of food which is healthy, which is fit for our human consumption. And this is what is food safety. Food safety is nothing but assurance that the food that we are consuming is fit for human consumption and which does not cause any illness or sickness to us and to our bodies. So this is a very basic concept which we have been taught since our childhood, but we often neglect in our day-to-day lives. And therefore, we need to have a proper law and legislation to regulate the food industry and to make sure that the food that we are consuming, legally it is fit for our health, and also we are complying with the authorities and the regulations that have been set out for the consumption of safe food. Now, safe food, basically every nation needs an effective food legislation and food control service to have safe and honestly prepared food supply and to promote fit food consumption so that we are safe and we are protected from contaminated food and adulterated food and from spoilage of foods. So this is why we need to have a proper food law. First is that we should have a safe and we should have a proper supply of food, and second, we need the food laws to make sure that we are protected from having contaminated, adulterated and spoiled foods. Now, what is the need and importance of safe food? Now, more than 200 diseases ranging from diarrhea to cancers spread through unsafe food consumption. India being a developing nation, a lot of people come from rural areas, are often the subject of illness, and they often fall prey to this illness and to malnourished and to the concept of malnourishment, because not everybody is able to buy and afford healthy food items and they are not able to comply, and therefore we are not able to comply with the food regulations as per said by the government of India. So we need to, as a nation, we need to have the law evenly spread throughout the country, and it is not just only the people who are living in cities and the people who are living in the urban areas. It should be applicable, and the food and the safe food should reach to the remotest of areas in our country, and that is when the purpose of the law would be achieved. So, second is unsafe food can cause long term illnesses and problems because of the chemical components present in food. Third, the foodborne diseases affect vulnerable groups of sections mostly. Now, these vulnerable group of sections, they comprise of malnourished sections of people, especially people living in villages, in rural areas, pregnant ladies, those who are old, and those who have some kind of disabilities. These are the vulnerable group of people which is mostly falling prey to the problems of food contamination and food hazards. Now, food safety, nutrition, food security, they are interlinked, they are inextricably linked together, just like how Maggi noodles are connected to each other. These concepts are also interlinked with each other. They cannot function without each other. So, if food safety is maintained, only then food security can be achieved, and only then can we get to the goal of nutrition. So, food law is also very, very important to be taken care of, not just because of the food, not just because we have to have clean and safe food, but also it affects a nation's socio-economic development at a larger level. So, if one human being, or suppose a citizen of the country, is not getting proper, sanitized, healthy food, it is going to affect the manpower, the health of that individual, and therefore the services that he is giving to the country, whether he is working in a factory or whether he is working in a company, he won't be able to give to his fullest capabilities, and therefore his work will be affected, and therefore the country's economy will be affected. So therefore food law is very relevant and very significant, not just at an individual level, but also at a nation's level. Now, food safety is a multidisciplinary and a multi-sectoral concept. I see this because not just it includes biotechnology, chemical chemical studies, microbiology, food chemists, but it also includes the disciplines of social sciences, law, economics. Therefore, it is called multisectoral and multidisciplinary. Now, what are the advantages of safe food? So, it ensures that people are protected from adulterated, contaminated food. It prevents foodborne diseases. It facilitates international trade, and it stimulates socio-economic development of the nation at the large scale. Now, WHO in its 2006 report gave 5 keys to safe food. First is keep clean. Keep clean means keep your hands clean, keep the environment clean. Then we have the separate raw and cooked food. It means that we should keep our raw and cooked food separately. Then the third key is cook thoroughly, which means that we should be able to kill the pathogens and kill the germs present in the food, and the temperature should be such that it is able to kill the germs and pathogens. Then we need to keep the food at a particular temperature, and then we have to use the water safely, and we have to use the raw material safely. These are the 5 keys which are given to have safe food, to achieve the goal of safe food as per the WHO report in 2006. Now, the second concept which is very important is the food hazards. Now, the Codex Alimentarius defines hazard as a biological, chemical, or physical agent present in food to cause adverse effects on human beings' health. They are the biggest threat to food security and food safety. So these are categorized into three heads, but there are biological hazards, there are physical hazards, and then there are chemical hazards. So physical hazards are caused due to the addition of any foreign element intentionally added or unintentionally added in the food. Now, for example, broken pieces of crockery, broken chipped nails present in food, or dirty long nails, handling the food without wearing gloves or without proper sanitation. That is, these are all examples of physical hazards. Then what are chemical hazards? Chemical hazards are caused due to any chemical which may be naturally occurring or process induced chemicals, substances that may cause foodborne illnesses. For example, cleansing products or sanitizers, pesticides, residues present in raw ingredients, insecticides, rodenticides, food colorants, additives, chemicals, preservatives, etc. They are all chemical hazards. Then we have biological hazards. Now, biological hazards are said to be the most concerned, or you can say it is the major concern in the food industry, as this may cause maximum illness outbreak. They are the biggest threat to the food security and food health issues. These occur when food gets contaminated by microorganisms found in the air, food, water, soil, animals, and human body. So, to say that biological hazards are the most dangerous hazards because it directly affects in the most prominent manner, it directly contaminates food and it directly is responsible for any disease caused to the human beings upon consumption of the food which is contaminated, because the presence of microorganisms makes it the most hazardous out of all the three which are there. So microorganisms they may cause foodborne illnesses. They may be bacteria, fungi, yeast, or substances that may pose a threat to human health and can even at times cause death of the human beings. So therefore, these may be prevented and food safety issues should be complied with, food safety policies should be complied with in order to avoid and prevent these food hazards. Now, before we move ahead, it is important to know about certain allergens, about certain harmful substances in food, which is called allergens. Now, it is any substance eaten or inhaled which cause allergic substances, allergic reactions to hypersensitivity of the immune system of any human being. Basically, it means that allergens are those substances which can fidget with the immunity of any human being upon consumption of any any unhealthy food, and they may cause certain reactions to anybody which may be due to the consumption of the said food. Nowadays, a lot of people have food allergies. Consumption of certain foods may lead to allergic reactions in human body which are hazardous and can even cause death. Therefore, when we say that often people have been found saying that I am allergic to milk, or they are lactose intolerant, or after having nuts or peanuts, they start sneezing. It is because of certain allergens which are present in food and which have a reaction upon them, upon their immunity system. So these are called allergens. Now, it is important to provide allergen information to consumers in order to comply with the food safety regulations, and the measures to control food hazards should be established at the stage of food handling to ensure food safety and prevent food spoilage.